The cane came down on Raymond's hand. Once. Then again. The classroom went silent, and it was very painful. Tracy stood in front of the SS1 class with a very calm face. She was the mathematics teacher, and also the class teacher of SS1. The students knew her as strict. Nobody wanted to be on her punishment list because her cane never missed. Raymond stood still while she flogged him. He did not speak. He did not react. Some students watched in shock. Others looked away. A few tried to hide small laughter because they could not understand why a grown student like Raymond was being treated like everyone else. My name is Patience. Welcome to Etanalog. Tracy finished the list of noisemakers without skipping anyone. When she was done, she returned to the board and continued teaching as if nothing had happened. Open page 34, she said. The class obeyed immediately. Raymond sat down slowly. His face was tight with anger, not because of the punishment itself, but because of how she treated him like a stranger, like he was just another student. Nobody in the school knew the truth. Tracy was not just his teacher, she was his wife. They had agreed to keep it secret. Raymond was 25 years old. He had stopped school in JSS 3 because of money problems and started working. Later, Tracy supported him to return to school so he could finish his education and go to university. He joined SS1 because that was where he had to continue from. And in school, he was treated like every other student, even by her, especially by her. She never showed him any special attention in school. She had already given him transport money earlier in the morning, so he would take a tricycle to school and back home on his own. She did not want anyone to suspect anything. So after class, when other students left, Raymond did not go home immediately. He stayed behind with some of his classmates. They talked, laughed, and discussed random things. He acted normal, like nothing had happened in class. Tracy left the school early. She did not wait for him. She drove home alone. Raymond went home much later that day. The anger was still inside him. When he finally got home, the house was already clean. The food was already cooked. Tracy was inside, dressed in light, revealing home clothes, moving around the house like someone who had been waiting for him. When she saw him, she smiled a little. "Welcome," she said softly. Raymond did not respond immediately. He dropped his bag and sat down. He was still quiet. Tracy brought food and placed it in front of him. "Eat first," she said. He looked at her but still said nothing. She sat near him. In school, she was strict, cold, controlled. But at home, she was different. She even tried to joke sometimes. "I know you are angry," she said, "but your name was on the list. I had no choice." Raymond finally looked at her. "So I am just like every other student to you," he said. Tracy shook her head. "No. In school, I have to be like that. If people suspect anything, it will affect you too." He stayed silent again. She touched his hand lightly. "I am sorry," she said. The anger in Raymond slowly reduced. He was still hurt, but he loved her, and that love made it hard for him to stay angry for long. After a while, he started eating. Tracy relaxed. She smiled, slightly relieved. Later that night, after they had talked more and the tension was gone, they stayed together as husband and wife and spent a private moment together. I don't need to go in detail, you guys get what I mean, right? Anyways, afterwards, they lay on the bed together. Tracy rested her head close to him, her hand on his chest. Her voice was soft. "Don't forget your books tomorrow," she said with a small smile. Raymond did not answer immediately. He just looked at her. Then he nodded. She smiled again and stayed close to him. The next morning did not start anything new. School was waiting again. The same secret, the same silence, and the same life where a husband and wife had to act like strangers in front of everyone. The next morning, Tracy woke up before Raymond. She went straight to the kitchen and started preparing breakfast. The house was quiet. A few minutes later, Raymond came out of the bedroom. Neither of them talked about their disagreement from the previous day. The anger from the flogging had already faded. Tracy served the food. "Eat before it gets cold," she said. Raymond sat down and started eating. For a while, everything felt normal, like any married couple sharing a morning together. After breakfast, they prepared for school. Tracy picked up her car keys while Raymond carried his school bag. Before leaving, she walked over to him. She placed a quick kiss on his cheek. Then she smiled. I love you. Don't ever forget that. Raymond smiled back. I know. A few minutes later, Tracy drove away in her car. Raymond took a tricycle to school. As usual, they arrived separately. As usual, nobody suspected anything. School continued normally that day. Tracy taught mathematics. She gave notes. She solved examples on the board. She answered questions. She remained the strict teacher everybody knew. Raymond sat with the other students. Sometimes he listened. Sometimes he talked too much. Sometimes Tracy caught him talking during class and simply gave him a warning like she would give anyone else. The students never noticed anything strange. To them, Tracy was just their teacher, and Raymond was just another student. During break time, Tracy was walking across the school compound when something caught her attention. Raymond was standing under a tree. He was talking to an SS3 student, a girl. They seemed comfortable around each other. The girl laughed. Raymond laughed too. Tracy slowed down for a moment. Then she continued walking. It was nothing. Just two students talking. At least that was what she told herself. The next day, she saw them again. The same girl. The same Raymond. Talking. Laughing. Walking together. Again, Tracy ignored it. There was no reason to think badly about it. Students talked to each other all the time. But the days continued, and she kept seeing them. In the corridor. Near the library. During break time. After classes. Sometimes talking. Sometimes laughing. Sometimes sitting together. The girl's name was Rejoice. She was 19 years old and an SS3. She was friendly and cheerful. And somehow, she and Raymond seemed to get along very well. At first, Tracy ignored it. Then she noticed it. Then she started thinking about it. And then she could not stop noticing it. One afternoon, Tracy was marking exercise books in the staff room. She looked through the window. There they were again. Raymond and Rejoice. Talking. Laughing. Smiling. Something tightened inside her chest. Not anger. Not exactly. Something else. Something uncomfortable. She immediately looked away. This is ridiculous, she whispered to herself. They are just talking. Still, the feeling remained. That evening, Raymond arrived home. He found Tracy in the sitting room. She looked normal. Maybe too normal. After dinner, they sat together. The television was on, but neither of them was paying attention to it. Finally, Tracy spoke. What do you and Rejoice talk about every day? Raymond looked surprised. Who? Rejoice. A smile appeared on his face. Are you jealous? Tracy immediately frowned. No. Raymond laughed. You are. I am not. You are. I am not jealous of a student. Raymond leaned back. Then why are you asking? Tracy crossed her arms. Because I keep seeing both of you together. We are friends. Friends. Yes. An SS1 student and an SS3 student. Raymond laughed again. That is not a crime. Tracy tried to stay serious, but she was becoming annoyed. You seem very comfortable around her. Raymond looked directly at her. And what exactly are you worried about? She did not answer, because she did not have a good answer. The conversation should have ended there. But Raymond suddenly became quiet. The smile disappeared from his face. Tracy noticed the change immediately. What is it? She asked. Raymond looked down for a few seconds. Then he spoke. I am tired. Tired of what? Tired of pretending. The room became silent. Tracy already knew where this conversation was going. Ray! No. Listen to me. He sat up straight. I am your husband. I know. But nobody knows. We agreed on that. I agreed because I thought it would only be for a while. Tracy remained silent. Raymond continued. Every day I watch you act like I don't exist. His voice was calm, but there was pain inside it. At school, you don't even look at me. Because I have to be professional. You don't talk to me. I am your teacher there. You treat me like every other student. Because that is how it must be. Raymond shook his head. I am tired of it. Tracy stood up. Raymond, you know why we are doing this. No. I know why you are doing this. Her eyes narrowed. What does that mean? You are ashamed of me. The words hit her hard. Immediately. You know that is not true. Then tell everybody. Tracy looked away. Raymond noticed. And that hurt even more. You see, he said quietly. You still cannot do it. Tracy felt her frustration rising. You don't understand. Then explain it. I have a reputation in that school. There it is. What? My point. Tracy folded her arms. You are twisting my words. No. Yes. No. The argument was becoming serious now. Neither of them wanted to back down. You are my husband, Tracy said. I love you. Then stop hiding me. I am not hiding you. Really? Raymond laughed bitterly. You won't let me ride in your car. Because people will ask questions. You won't even greet me normally in school. Because people will notice. You act like being connected to me is a problem. Tracy stared at him. For the first time that night, she had no answer. Because part of what he said was true. Not all of it, but enough of it. The room fell silent. Neither of them spoke for several moments. Finally, Tracy sat beside him. Her voice was softer now. I am not ashamed of you. Raymond looked at her. Then why are you afraid? She lowered her eyes. And for the first time, she admitted something she had never said aloud. I don't know. Neither of them spoke after that. The argument was over. But the problem was not. Because for the first time since Raymond returned to school, the secret that had brought them together was starting to pull them apart. And neither of them knew what would happen next. Days passed. Then more days passed. The argument between Tracy and Raymond never truly disappeared. They stopped talking about it, but it remained there, hidden, waiting. Every morning they left for school separately. Every afternoon they returned separately. And every day they continued pretending that they were strangers. At least in public. Something else was changing too. Raymond and Rejoice were becoming closer. At first, they only talked during break time. Then after classes. Then almost every day. Rejoice was surprisingly good at some subjects, especially English and government. Whenever Raymond got confused about something in class, she would explain it to him. Unlike Tracy, who was always busy and tired after work, Rejoice seemed to have endless patience. Look, she said one afternoon, pointing at his notebook. You answer this question correctly, but your explanation is too short. Raymond looked at it. Oh, just add more details. That's all. Yes. Raymond laughed. I spent 30 minutes worrying about that. Rejoice laughed too. You worry too much. Over time, studying together became normal. Students began seeing them together often. Nobody thought much of it. They were friends. Nothing more. At least from Raymond's side. To him, Rejoice was simply someone who helped him understand school better. He respected her. He appreciated her. But he never saw her as anything beyond a friend. The problem was that Tracy did not know what was inside Rejoice's mind. And neither did Raymond. One afternoon, Tracy was walking past one of the SS3 classrooms. Classes had ended. Most students were already leaving. As she passed by the open door, she heard laughter inside. Normally she would have kept walking, but one name caught her attention. Raymond. Immediately she slowed down. The voice belonged to Rejoice. Tracy stopped without thinking. She remained outside the classroom, hidden from view. Inside, Rejoice was sitting with 3 of her friends. The girls were talking and laughing. Then one of them smiled. So tell us the truth. The truth about what? Rejoice asked. You know exactly what. The girls laughed. Rejoice shook her head. I don't. Raymond. The laughter became louder. Tracy felt her heartbeat increase. She stayed where she was, listening. One of the girls leaned forward. You like him. Rejoice immediately looked away. The other girls screamed and laughed. Look at her face. She likes him. No, I don't. You do. I don't. You absolutely do. The classroom exploded with laughter. Even Rejoice started laughing. But her face was red, and that alone was enough. Another girl smiled. So what do you even like about him? Rejoice became quiet. For a moment she looked embarrassed. Then she spoke. He is different. The girls immediately started making noise again. Oh, different. What does that mean? Rejoice covered her face. Leave me alone. No. Tell us. She laughed nervously, then finally answered. I don't know. That's a lie. The girls refused to let her escape. Finally Rejoice sighed. He is mature. The girls looked at each other. Okay. He is respectful. Okay. And? Rejoice smiled. And he listens. The girls started laughing again. Outside the classroom, Tracy stood frozen. She could not believe what she was hearing. A student, A 19-year-old student had a crush on her husband. Her husband. The thought sounded ridiculous, almost funny, but somehow she was not laughing. Not even a little. One of the girls inside asked the question Tracy feared most. So have you told him? Rejoice immediately shook her head. No. Why? Because he probably doesn't like me. How do you know? He is always nice to everybody. The girls groaned. You should tell him. No. You should. No. You should. No. The argument continued, but Tracy had already heard enough. She quietly walked away. For the rest of the day, she could not focus properly. Even while teaching. Even while marking books. Even while talking to other teachers. Her mind kept returning to the same thing. Rejoice likes Raymond. Rejoice likes Raymond. Rejoice likes Raymond. The words repeated endlessly. The funniest part was that she could not tell anyone. Who was she supposed to complain to? The principal? The teachers? The students? She could not exactly stand up and say, "Please stay away from Raymond. He is my husband." Nobody even knew she was married to him, which made everything worse. That evening Raymond arrived home. The moment he entered, Tracy was already watching him. Closely. Very closely. Raymond noticed immediately. What? What? You are staring at me. I am not. You are. I am not. You definitely are. Tracy looked away. Raymond smiled. Then he froze. A suspicious look appeared on his face. Wait! Tracy immediately knew what was coming. No. You are jealous again. No. Yes. No. Who is it this time? Tracy crossed her arms. Nobody spoke for several seconds. Then she finally said it. Rejoice. Raymond blinked. Rejoice. Yes. What about her? Tracy looked at him. She likes you. Raymond stared. Then stared some more. Then burst out laughing. The laughter became so strong that he nearly fell onto the sofa. Tracy became annoyed immediately. This isn't funny. It is very funny. It isn't. It really is. Tracy glared at him. Raymond finally calmed down. Wait. He looked at her carefully. You are serious? Very serious. The smile slowly disappeared from his face. How do you know? I heard her talking to her friends. Raymond sat quietly, processing it. Then he shook his head. No. Yes. No. Yes. No. Raymond. Okay, maybe. A long silence followed. Then Tracy spoke softly. You won't encourage it. Raymond looked at her. For the first time all evening, neither of them was joking. I would never do that. Tracy's face softened. Because she believed him. She truly did. The problem was not Raymond. The problem was that every day the secret between them was becoming harder to protect. And now another person had unknowingly stepped into the middle of it. A person who had no idea that the man she liked already belonged to someone else. A few days after Tracy overheard Rejoice talking to her friends, something finally happened. School had ended for the day. Most students had already left. Raymond was sitting outside one of the classroom blocks when Rejoice approached him. She looked nervous. Very nervous. Can we talk? She asked. Raymond nodded. Sure. For a few seconds. Neither of them spoke. Then Rejoice took a deep breath. I like you. Raymond already knew where this was going. Still, hearing the words directly felt different. Rejoice looked down. I know this is embarrassing. Raymond stayed calm. You don't need to be embarrassed. She looked up hopefully, but the expression on Raymond's face did not change. Immediately, her heart sank. You don't feel the same way, do you? She asked quietly. Raymond shook his head. No. The answer was gentle, but it still hurt. A lot. I am sorry, Raymond continued. I respect you. I care about you as a friend. But I don't feel that way. Rejoice tried to smile. She failed. The disappointment on her face was obvious. For several seconds she looked away, trying not to cry, trying not to make the moment awkward. Finally she nodded. Okay. Raymond felt bad for her. I don't want this to affect our friendship. Rejoice took a deep breath. Then another. Eventually, she managed a small smile. I'll be fine. But Raymond knew she was heartbroken. And Rejoice knew it too. That evening, Raymond told Tracy everything. They were sitting together in the living room. Tracy listened carefully. So she finally told you? Yes. And I told her no. A smile slowly appeared on Tracy's face. Raymond immediately pointed at her. Don't smile. I am not smiling. You are. I am not. You are enjoying this. Tracy laughed. Just a little. Then she moved closer and rested her head on his shoulder. Thank you. Raymond looked at her. For what? For being honest. He shook his head. There was never another option. The following Saturday, Tracy decided they needed a break from all the stress. No school. No arguments. No pretending. She looked at Raymond. We are going on a date. Raymond smiled immediately. Now you're talking. Later that afternoon, they arrived at a nice restaurant. For once, they could relax. No teachers. No students. No pretending. Just a husband and wife spending time together. They talked. They laughed. They ate. For the first time in weeks, everything felt normal. When they eventually came outside, Tracy stood beside her car. Raymond pulled her gently toward him. She smiled, then kissed him. A simple kiss. A married couple sharing a moment. Neither of them noticed someone standing across the street. Frozen. Watching. It was Rejoice. The moment Rejoice recognized Tracy, her eyes widened. Then she looked at Raymond. Then back at Tracy. Then back at Raymond again. Her mouth slowly fell open. No way! The next Monday, Rejoice told 2 friends. Those 2 friends told 4 more. The 4 told 10 more. By lunchtime, the rumor was everywhere. Students whispered in classrooms. Students whispered in corridors. Students whispered during break time. Teacher Tracy and Raymond. Teacher Tracy and Raymond. Teacher Tracy and Raymond. Nobody could stop talking about it. Unfortunately, the story changed every time it spread. Some students claimed Raymond was secretly dating Tracy. Others claimed Tracy was showing favoritism. Others claimed they had been seeing each other for months. The rumors became bigger. And worse. Much worse. The funniest part was that Raymond's friends approached him directly. One afternoon, his friends surrounded him. Guy! What? Tell us the truth. About what? Teacher Tracy. Raymond sighed. Immediately he knew. The rumor had reached them too. One of the boys leaned forward. Are you really dating her? Another one shook his head. No way. Impossible. She's a teacher. Exactly. Everyone started talking at once. Finally, Raymond raised his hand. Calm down. The boys became quiet. Then Raymond spoke. She is not my girlfriend. The boys nodded. Good. That's what we thought. Then Raymond continued. She is my wife. Silence. Complete silence. Nobody moved. Nobody blinked. Nobody breathed. Then one of the boys burst out laughing. Good joke. I am serious. The laughter stopped. Another boy stared at him. Wait, you are serious? Yes. The boys looked at each other. Then back at Raymond. Then back at each other. Their brains were refusing to process the information. Meanwhile, the rumors continued spreading. Soon they reached parents. That made everything worse. Most parents only knew one thing. Raymond was a student. Tracy was a teacher. Many of them had no idea Raymond was 25 years old. Many had never met him. Many only knew Tracy through school activities. Questions started appearing. Complaints started appearing. Concerns started appearing. And eventually the school management heard everything. Teachers began discussing it privately. Some dismissed the rumors. Others became suspicious. A few started paying closer attention to Tracy. One afternoon, a teacher approached her. Tracy, yes, there are strange rumors going around. Immediately, her heart started racing. What rumors? The teacher lowered her voice. They are saying you are married to Raymond. Tracy forced a laugh. That's ridiculous. But inside, panic was growing. Fast. Very fast. That evening, Raymond sat across from her at home. You should tell them. No. Tracy. No. We cannot keep doing this. We can. No, we can't. The argument returned. The same argument they had been having for months. Only now the stakes were much higher. A few days later, Rejoice found Raymond sitting alone. She approached him quietly. Can I sit? Raymond nodded. She sat beside him. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then she smiled sadly. So that's why. Raymond looked at her. Why what? Why you rejected me? He sighed. Yes. Rejoice nodded. Then he told her everything. How Tracy was his wife, how she paid for his education, how they kept their marriage secret, how they had been pretending every day. By the time he finished, Rejoice understood everything. And surprisingly, she was not angry. She just felt sorry for both of them. The following Friday, the atmosphere in school felt different. Students were whispering more than usual. Teachers were acting strangely. Even the principal seemed unusually serious. Something was changing. Everyone could feel it. Nobody knew exactly what. But something was coming. Then it happened. At exactly 9:17 in the morning, a message appeared in the official school staff group. One sentence. Just one. But it changed everything. All teachers are required to report to the conference room immediately. This meeting concerns the ongoing allegations involving Mrs. Tracy and student Raymond. Tracy stared at her phone. Her face turned pale. Across the school compound, Raymond received a message from one of his friends. He read it, and his heart immediately dropped. The secret was no longer a secret, and as Tracy slowly stood from her chair, the principal's office door opened, waiting for both of them. If this story touched you, drop a like and share your thoughts in the comments. Your voice matters here. And if you want part 2, just type part 2 below. Subscribe and stay with us. More stories are coming.